they discovered that these leaders slandered other men and women who were in leadership. And when they were asked, how could they do such things? Why were they doing such things? Do you know what they said? They said that their motives were pure and that their actions were righteous, because the decision that the congregation had made was wrong, and it was necessary for them to reverse it in any way possible. What were they saying? They were saying, in essence, that the end justifies the means, that it doesn't matter how you get it done, but you get it done because the end justifies the means. They were willing to lie, they were willing to besmirch other people's reputation in order for the church to reverse its decision. How about you? Are you guilty of slander? Are you guilty of telling lies about other people? Anyone want to admit that at this point? Admit that they have slandered another person? Undoubtedly, most of us would say, if not all of us would say, I've never told a lie about someone else, or lies. That is something that I would never, ever do. And if that's true of you, I would say to you, I commend you, good and faithful servant. I praise you because you are upholding God's laws. But then I would also have to say, don't be so quick to believe that you are totally innocent of slandering others. Because the truth of the matter is, you may be more guilty than you realize. All right, and if we don't know what I'm talking about, it's only because we fail to understand the prohibition that James gives us here. The Greek word that is translated, do not slander other people, is a translation that the NIV and other translators chose for our Bibles. But the word that was translated, do not slander, could also mean this. It could also mean, do not speak ill of others. Do not speak negatively about others, even if what you say is true. All right? That you and I are not supposed to speak ill or speak badly of other people, even when the thing that we are saying is true. Now, you might wonder, well, how could that possibly be wrong? I mean, because we're not lying, we're telling the truth, but the only, why would that be wrong? Why would that be slander? Well, it's because you fail to understand what James prohibits here. He prohibits us not only to not tell lies about other people, but he also prohibits us from passing on negative information about other people. Now, how could that be, you might ask? Well, let me ask you that by asking you three questions. To which group of people is James talking to here in this particular letter? Is he talking to Christians or non-Christians? Christians, okay, because he says brothers, right? All right. Now, what kind of relationships is he addressing here? Is he addressing Christian to Christian relationships, Christian to non-Christian relationships, or non-Christian to non-Christian relationships? What kind of relationships is James talking about here? Christian to Christian, all right? He's talking Christian to Christian. And how does God expect, in general, how does God expect us to treat one another? Does he expect us to edify one another, to build one another up? Or does he expect us to tear one another down? What does he generally expect us to do? What do you think? Build up. We are supposed to be building up one another, not tearing each other down. We are supposed to be uplifting one another. We're supposed to be encouraging one another. We're supposed to be uplifting that other person, not tearing him down. So if we learn that a brother failed a particular exam, we are not supposed to tell everybody, do you know that so-and-so failed such and such an exam? Even though that's the truth, even though that's exactly what happened, you are not supposed to pass on that information. Why? Because that information is helping everyone else look at this person less than what we had seen him before, right? Because before he said he was doing okay, but now we see that he failed the exam, so we would look at him more lowly than before, right? Or if a person broke out in zits, all right? Did you know that so-and-so has all these zits on his face? I mean, that may be true, but we are not supposed to pass on that information. Why? Because we're helping our friends, our Christian friends, brothers and sisters, look at this person lower than he or she is. All right? We're helping them to look down upon that person. All right? Or if we learn that this person's parents committed embezzlement and went to prison for it, you and I are not supposed to pass on that information. Do you know what to be an embezzler is? What's an embezzler? Anybody know? An embezzler is someone who works in the office and steals from that company, the money from the company, what they call cooking the books, all right? Figuring it out so that, try to hide the fact that he's stealing money, all right? A bank robber, robs a bank, everybody sees that, right? But when an embezzler does it, it's something secret. It's done, where no one knows what's going on, but because he or she is the bookkeeper, he or she is able to hide that information. Okay, so if we learn that a friend's parent went to prison because he or she was an embezzler, you and I are not supposed to tell our friends, you know that this person's parents went to prison? I mean, the father or mother, whoever it was that committed the embezzlement, they went to prison. You and I are not supposed to do that. On the other hand, I think James would then also say that, if this person who committed the embezzlement were to volunteer to be the church treasurer, what do you think we should do then? Right? Because now the person is going to be handling money which he or she may be tempted to take, right? I think in that particular case, James would have us talk to the pastor and tell the board, but that's as far as it goes, right? Why? Because the board and the pastor needs to know, because they need to make sure this person stays honest, and will put in place things that will make sure that person remains as honest as possible, right? But beyond that, the rest of the congregation doesn't have to know that information. It's not necessary for everyone else to know. It's not important for everyone else to know. Do you agree with me on that? Okay. Some of us may not. Some of us may say, well, you know what? That person went to prison. That means that person's a bad person. And the whole congregation has to know. And, it's not right for everyone not to know the fact that this person went to prison. And if that's how you're thinking, that's fine. You can think that way. I have no problems with that. But I have to say this also, that you can share about the fact that this person's parents went to prison if and only if you are willing to share every secret sin that you've committed. That if you are willing to let out all of your secret sins, then it's okay for you to let out this person's sins. But if you're not willing to let out all those secret sins, then you better make sure you don't pass on this other information that you happen to discover or happen to learn. Do you understand what I'm saying? Does that make sense? That you and I are not supposed to pass on other information about people, because we all make mistakes. We all make mistakes. None of us are perfect. All of us are sinners, and that includes pastors as well. We all are sinners. I've made my share of mistakes. You have made your share of mistakes. I don't have to share every one of my mistakes with you so you can look less of me. But neither do you have to share all of your mistakes to me. If you want to share that personally, that's fine. I mean, if you want to let the world know I went to prison, but I'm reformed, I'm okay, that's fine. If the person who himself committed that sin wants to tell the world, that's no problem. But you don't have the right to do that. You don't have the right to pass on that information. Why? Because as James tells us, we are not to tell lies about other people. but neither should we pass on false information, truthful, negative information about other people as well. And why is that? Well, James goes on to tell us two reasons why it is wrong for us to speak ill of our brothers and sisters in Christ and pass judgment on them. The first reason can be found in verse 11. All right, it says this. Brothers, do not slander one another. Anyone who speaks against his brother or judges him speaks against the law and judges it. All right, what law do you think is being referred to there?